Hello everyone, this is Subhodeep, and in this video I am going to teach about functions. So functions are another very crucial part of fundamental programming. Every modern programming language uses functions. Be it JavaScript, be it Python, be it C, be it C++, be it Java, whatever. Every modern programming language uses functions. So before going into greater detail, first let's have some casual talk about functions. So all of you have used print statements, right? Print hello world. How do you write print? Print, then use two parentheses, two brackets. So print is a function. It is an inbuilt function. And what is inbuilt function? Inbuilt function means that Python itself provides you that function. The creators of Python, or the contributors of Python development, uh, has written few lines of code which you do not know, and they just made it a function and gave it to you. So if I tell you how print function works, you will probably say, okay, print function displays anything I give it onto the screen. Okay, that's how it works. But how it works, you do not know. You know the output or the result or the end product of the function, but you do not know how the function works in background. That is abstraction. Just I told you in the last video that concept of abstraction in a concise manner. That abstraction is nothing but working with things without knowing the internal parts. Just like this switch. Last time I showed you, if you are turning off this switch, the light will go off. If you are turning on this switch, I mean push it down, the light will turn on. But you know how to use it, but you do not know what's going inside the switch. All the electricity things you do not know, or maybe you know, but you don't care. Like, who cares? Okay, it works. I know how to make it work. That's it. And that's how functions help us implementing the same code again and again and again without actually writing the whole code. That's the point of functions. And that's why functions make our lives easier. Be it Len function, you have used Len function, right? So if I say ABCDE, so ABCD has a length of 5, ABCDE. So you say len, angular brackets, double quotes, ABCDE. You press enter, it gives you an integer, that is 5. 5 is the length. So you know that len function gives you the length of any string, but you do not know how it calculates it, right? And you do not care. Who cares, right? You know how to make it work, you just make it work, and once the work is finished, you are done with it. And that's the abstraction the function provides, right? So function provides another advantage, which is modularity. Now let's say there is a function which actually prints the string. Let's say you have said you have written hello world, all in lowercase letters, okay. But now when when you first implemented the function, you wanted that only the first words, only the first alphabets of every word should be capital. That means H in hello should be capital or uppercase, and W in world should be uppercase. That's what you wanted when you created the function, right? And you have written the function many times, right? Now if you suddenly intend to change the working of the function, all you have to do is to just change the function inside the function. You do not need to change the way you have implemented it all over the code. You just make change in a single area, and all the change happens automatically. You do not have to touch even a single line of function called. Okay, so let's say you want the new function to print all the string in uppercase. So you do not have to make a change in any of the places where you have called the function. You can change only the insides of the function, and the change will update automatically. Okay. So that's how you can maintain your code in a better way. So let's say you have a function. It's you have few lines of code which can count from 1 to the number you provide. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. This will continue if you say you let's say you provide 100. So it will count from 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, and it will continue to 100, right? But now suddenly you thought, why count? Let's add. Let's add all the numbers from 1 to the number I give. So let's say you give 100. It will print the sum of all those numbers. So 1 plus 2 plus 3 plus 4 plus 5 plus 6 plus it will continue to 100. So now you want to make this change. But the amazing thing is you do not have to change even a single line of code where you have where you have called the function. You will only have to make the single change where you have implemented or where you have created the function. So that's the beauty of functions. Functions provide readability. Functions also provide maintainability. You can easily maintain your code. You need to make a change, bam, you just make a change in the implementation and all the code changes. Now I know it sometimes sounds confusing, and that's why I am here. I'm going to show you all the examples related to functions so that you can understand what I am saying, right? Now another classical example is, let's say for example, um, let's take a previous example. So let's say you want to calculate, you want to check if a number is a palindrome number or not. You guys know how to check if a number is palindrome or not, but you guys also know that it requires 5 or 6 lines of code. Now every time you wish to check a palindrome number, you have to write 5 or 6 lines of codes every single time. Let's say you want to check in different parts of program that if a number is palindrome number or not, you have to write all those 6 lines again and again and again. So there is a repetition, right? What you can do is write a single function. That means you have to write that 5 lines only one time, and now you can use those 5 lines again and again and again, and as much as you want you can use it. So that is the beauty of functions. You do not have to write every single time. You can implement it and you are done with it. Another thing, it can provide extendability. And now what I mean by extendability, it means that let's say you have written two Python programs, and in a Python program there is a function called squares. So as the name implies, square, it does what, let's say you entered 2, so 2's square is 4. You entered 3, 3's square is 9, right? It gives you the square number. I know the code is short, but still, let's say you want to use it, okay, but you do not want to, you are too lazy to write the code, okay, so because you have once written it. Now the beauty of Python is you can use the previous code in your recent code. That's the beauty of Python. You have written in a different file a few lines of code. You can use those few lines of code in different file into your current file. Now this is the same concept as packages. I told you last time that packages are nothing but Python files, and from Python file you take out the functions written by other people and put it into your own code. Before that you have to install packages, but here you are writing your own function in your own computer, so you can definitely use your functions from any other Python file into your own file. Okay, so for example, let's give you another example. Let's say you have a Python file which sends an email. That's all it does, and it has 15 lines of code. That Python file, 15 lines of code in that Python file. So it basically does, it is function send email. Let's say the name of the function is send email. So what it basically does, it takes all the things that you want to send, like let's say your images, your attachments, your PDFs, your words, your Excel sheets, or your spreadsheets, your PowerPoint presentations, or your messages, everything it takes, and it sends to the receiver or whomever you wish to send it. So it's a Python file with one function, and the name of the function is send email. So what it does, it takes messages, attachments, all those things from you, and then it takes the receiver's name whom you want to send, and it sends it. So there is a function. And now you are writing another Python program which whose main task is to check if your system is healthy or not. So let's say there is a condition that if your CPU usage rises over 90%, you want the owner of the computer to know. So let's say this computer is running and I am outside my home, and suddenly the computer's CPU starts working a lot faster and the CPU usage goes higher to 90%. Now what Python does is it wants to email this notification that, hey Shubhadeep, your CPU usage is currently over the 90%. So it wants to mail this thing. Now, what do you think is a clever thing? Write 15 lines again to send the mail to me, or implement that function in that other file, that is send email, into your current program, because the basic concept is same. You are sending an email ultimately. The only change is that you are just changing the text. You are just saying that, hey Shurib, your CPU usage is currently over 90%. That's what you are saying. But ultimately you are mailing to me. So you can easily implement that previous function from another file to your own file without writing the whole code. You can just import it. Remember I told you importing is the process of using or putting some other function from another Python file to your own Python file. That is importing. That's it. Okay. Now you can easily extend your features without writing code. That's the beauty of Python. You can do it. You can also do these things in C and C++. Obviously you can do this. It's not that hard, but it's definitely quite harder than Python. Okay. So in C I used to write library functions, library header files. If you are from C background, you might know what libraries are, like studio.h, conio.h, all those stuff. So I used to write my own library. So basically a library is same as package in Python. So it's the same concept. It's just the name differs because it's C and it is Python. And in modern days, the name of these things are modules or packages. And I prefer to call it package. You can obviously call it module, but I prefer package. Basically both are same things. Okay. So by this way, I can easily extend my Python code without writing new functionalities, or let's say I do not know, let's say I forgot how to send emails, but I remember this thing that in that Python file there is a function called send email which can send email to the person I specify. That's all I know. I do not know how it is implemented, all those stuffs. Or maybe your friend gave you that code. You can use it. You can use the function from your friend's code into your own code without even knowing um, how the inner workings happening. Just you know how to use it. That's all you need to know. That's the beauty of functions. Now let's start coding. Let's start coding. Enough talk. Let's start. So let's open my Sublime Text, and I'm really sad that my Windows is hanging a lot these days, and it really upsets me. See how much time it takes. Let's wait. I'm sorry for the delay, guys. I will soon launch the Python interpreter and I will see what happens. Till then, see my beautiful face. Okay, Windows doesn't even allow to see my beautiful face. Oops. See? Windows, you are too bad. Anyways. So this was the last time I have shown you. Yeah, okay. So this was our previous assignment, right? Okay. So this is the palindrome check. This is where I checked if the number is a palindrome number or not, right? Remember this thing? I had shown you last time. Come on, man. Yep. So let's give you a classic example of functions. Let's remove this control A. Okay. Let's remove this. Okay. Paste it. So I'll just modify it a bit. Okay. Okay, but before going into complexities, let's start with some simpler things so that you can understand what I'm doing, right? So let's open the Python interpreter first. Windows R, CMD. CMD is my guy. Yay. So let's start the Python shell by typing Python, or you can say Py, whatever. You know, in Linux, Py doesn't work, only Python works. So it's like a habit that I write Python every single time. So now it started. Now, this is how you write a function. Okay, before writing function, let's say you want to check if a number, let's say number equals to 8. So you want to check that if you know what is the cube of 8. Okay, so how would you do that? Print number star star 2. Oh, sorry, 3. Damn. Okay, so this is the cube of 8, right? And if you just modify the number equal to, let's say, 2, 8. So this is the cube of 2, right? So you are writing the expression every single time. You are writing this, right? But what if I say this is how you write a function? Def. You start the function with this keyword def. Def means define. Define the name of the function. What is the name of the function here? Let's say so you can name it whatever way you want to, but this thing is a must, and you can name it whatever you like. So let's say SQ, and you have to put these brackets. Okay, you have to put these brackets, and you have to press colon. And what are these brackets? These are parentheses, and inside these, remember print statement. So what is, okay, let's say print. So we use this. So it is a function, right? Now we pass something between these things. Let's say hello. Whatever we pass between these brackets are called arguments. Okay? So what is the argument in print statement? Hello. Hello is the argument, right? Hello is a string and it is working as an argument. So hello is an argument. Whenever you call a function, this is how you call a function. You use a function. You pass a parameter. Sorry, you pass an argument. This is the argument. But when you define a function, that is define SQ, you use the same brackets, and inside this you specify parameters. Now what are parameters? Let's open the camera. So what are parameters? So parameters are basically things that the function needs to work on. Repeating, parameters are the things that the function needs to work on. Like if I just say print without giving in anything, it would give me nothing, right? So it needs a argument. It needs an argument which will become a parameter, and it will work upon it, then it will print it, right? Same concept applies here. So when we define a function, a parameter is a must, or it is optional depending on the function. But what are parameters? So parameters are nothing but things that the function needs. So let's say n is a parameter, and I say return n. And what is the return statement? Return statement means return to wherever it calls, right? So if I just keep this like that, now remember, this is the def keyword, that means define. This is the name of the function. This is where you implement parameters. Now parameters are something that you define while writing the function. You are actually writing the function. You are defining a functions. While defining a function, whatever it needs, it has to pass between these brackets. Okay? And whatever is passed while calling this is an argument. So let me give you another example. sq2 will give me 4. Now this 2 is the argument, but n is parameter. Now do you get the difference? While calling a function, if you pass something inside it, it is an argument. But while defining a function, whatever you write inside these brackets is a parameter. Remember this. Parameters are the things that the function needs, and arguments are the things that you are giving to the function. Both are not the same. Remember this. Now you can say print. Now you can now the beauty of Python, or you can say the beauty of function is that you can call functions from functions. So you can say print sq2, it will give you 4. You can say print sq1000. Okay, so functions can call functions, right? Now let's give another example. So let's say I want to provide a number, and I want to add all the numbers that comes between that number, or let's say all the additions of those numbers, right? So if I say number is 100, so what I will do is, what I'll do is calculate the sum of all the numbers till 100. So I can do this using for loop. So what I'll do, this is without function, right? This is without function. For x in range 1, 101, oops, I need another thing. So I need a number, I need a temp, because I want to add something. So for x in range 1, 101, if I say that temp plus equals to x, and finally print x. So damn, what the hell is happening? Oh, sorry. I just printed X. What I will do is state print temp, right? So yeah, 5050. This is the sum. So now if I do this for number equals to 800, so I'll have to write this again for X in range. Okay, again you have to do this temp equals to 0 for X in range 1 to number plus 1, obviously, because this is a for loop and it will execute 1 less than the given. Temp plus equals to X. Now if I say print temp, this is the sum. So as you can see, for every number we are writing the same number of things. We are giving a number, we are specifying a variable called temp, we are giving a loop, the loop is running, and finally we are printing. So this is a repeated task. So we can instead write a function. Okay, just let's write a function. Def the function is sum of num. Sum of num. Sum num. Okay, sum num. So what is the parameter here? We are every time using the number, right? We are using the number variable. We are every time using this. So the function needs a number. And this thing, you can name it anything, okay? This thing is not related with this name. The name does not matter. You can give it here egg or whatever you like. The name does not matter. Number. Now you will have to define a variable temp inside the function. Remember, inside a function. You cannot use this temp outside function. Temp, and you will run a for X in range 0 number plus 1, and you will do temp plus equals X. What happened? Oh shit. I'm really sorry. Temp to 0 for X in range 0 comma number plus 1. Now double tab, right? Temp plus equals X, return temp, right? So this is a function. Now if I say that there is a variable called sum, and I say sum equals to sum num, and I give 500. Okay, so now if I check the value of sum, I can say print sum. See, it gives me the value. So how it is happening? In the function I said return temp. So return means return the specified value to the place from where it is called. So what is the place here? Inside a variable. So it has been assigned to this variable. It has been assigned to this variable. So let me tell you the process. Okay. So there is a pencil. Yeah. Can I use it? This is the first time I'm using it, right? So I'm pretty nervous. So when I'm saying this, that okay, this is sum num, right? Come on, man. Yep, okay. So I'm using this thing. Does it work? Or does it not? Okay, it doesn't, I guess. Okay, let's just leave it. Okay, let's leave it. Okay. So when I say sum num 500, so by sum num 500 means pass this 500 into this number. So this is a placeholder. So this is also like a variable. So you are passing 500 into this number thing, okay, into this function. Now you are doing all the things inside function, and finally you are returning the temp variable to the place where from where it has been called. So this will be replaced by this. Okay, I hope you get it. So this is the argument and this is the parameter. Remember the difference. This is the argument because you are passing this, and this is the parameter because you have mentioned it while defining the function. And return temp means you are returning the value of the specified item to the place from where it has been called. So sum equals sum num 500 will give you the final value of temp, right? Okay. So that was another example. Now let's write the function for checking a palindrome number. So def write palindrome. Okay, is palindrome. So you're asking, is palindrome, and what do you need? You need a number. That's it. And you can name it anything. I prefer it as a number. Now again, this is just like a if else or loop block. Everything in Python is indentation. This gap is called indentation. So now you need another. You need a copy, right? You need a copy, right? Let's see. Yeah, you need a copy. So you need a copy. So copy equals to number. Now you need a temporary variable, or you can say sum, or you can say reverse. No, that's the best thing. Reverse. What else do you need? Okay. So now you'll use a while loop. Perfect. Okay, you also need a last digit, right? While copy not equals to 0. You can skip the part if you do not like this because I know you have already written this and I am too lazy to write this again and again and again. So that's why I'm just copying it. And copy paste it. I'm not explaining the logic because I know you guys know the logic, right? Reverse, reverse. Anything else? Okay. That's it. Info count. Okay. Yeah. So finally you will check. Perfect. Now if you say if reverse equal number return yes it is a palindrome. Okay, return number is a palindrome number dot format. I give the number. We just remove this because I'm using the method format, so you do not need this. You just write it here. Else return is not a palindrome number. Let's minimize this. Yeah. Dot format number, and we are done. So now the function has been completed. Now if I check print is palindrome 151. 151 is a palindrome number. Now again I can check 565. 565 is a palindrome number. If I say 234, 234 is not a palindrome number. Now again I say 15143. 143 is not a palindrome number. If I say 5, 5 is a palindrome number. If I say 7, 7 is a palindrome. So as you can see, write once, use it many times. So I have written this only once, right? Only once I have written this, and I can use this as many times as I want without writing this anymore. I can use it again and again and again in anywhere. Okay, so now let me show you another thing which is very interesting. Let me just make two files. Okay, let's make two files. Okay, let's copy this thing, Control C, and paste it here, Control A, Control V. And there is a problem, just remove this, else this won't work. One tab, let's just remove all the spaces here, Control Z. You can skip this part if you want. Okay. Done. So now I'll show you how to use this function, from here without even even writing this function again. Okay, let's exit from here. Now remember, you have to go to this location. So just copy file path, cd, okay, cd, change directory. Cd means change directory. Okay, oops, it's not working, I guess. Okay, I'm a Linux user, so maybe I cannot work with these things. Okay. Well, let's just close it. Now, if I say, okay, let's make another text file. Okay, and I save it. I first save it. Remember to save it first. So I name it example2. Example2.py. Okay. And now this is a Python file as well. Now if I say import example, okay, import example. Let's see if this works. Sample dot. What is the name of the function? Is palindrome. Okay. Is palindrome drum 151, and I will print this. Okay, print this thing. Okay, done. Now let's execute it. Let's see if this works. Windows takes time. See, as you can see, 151 is a palindrome number. So did I write any code here? Nope, I didn't. I just imported this file, example.py. Now, do not mention this. Do not write example.py. This won't work. Okay. Only example, the name of the file. Import example. Now, just like in case of modules, example dot is palindrome. This statement means that example is a Python file which I have imported, and is palindrome is a function inside this Python file. So example is a Python file, and this is the function inside example.py. So that's why dot. Dot means we are accessing the internal things inside the given Python file. Okay. So this is one way. Now there is another way. Okay. Let me do this again and again so that you have a good understanding. Control C, Control V, say 245, 253. Now let's save it and run this. So 151 is a palindrome number. 253 is not a palindrome number. So you haven't written a single line of code. Now does that matter? No, it doesn't. There is a Python file you have written many years ago, and you can use the same function from that previous Python file into your current Python file. Okay, without writing a single line of code. Now there is another way, and this is shorter. Okay, let's remove this. This was one way of importing. Now there is another way. From example import is palindrome. So now what you are doing is this is another way of importing, and it says that from example.py file import this function. So you are specifying the function. You are particularly mentioning the function. So let's say if example.py has 1000 different functions, but you do not need them. Okay, you do not need them. You only need this is palindrome function. There is 1000 different functions, but you only need is palindrome function. So you will mention only this one. From example import is palindrome. From example.py import is palindrome function. That's what it means. And what's the advantage? The advantage is simply do this, print, and say is palindrome directly 151, and print just like you would have used if this was example dot. In example.py, if I wanted to use this, I would have written this is palindrome 151, right? I would have written this, but in this example.py, sorry, example2.py, I would have written example dot is palindrome if I had just written import example. But since I have already mentioned the particular function, I can directly write this print is palindrome 243. So now if I save it and execute it, this will give me the same thing. See, as you can see, 151 is a palindrome number, 243 is not a palindrome number, right? So it gives us the same thing without writing any code. In fact, this is a shorter way of doing this. Now I will teach you how to make your own module. Okay, no. I will include how to make a package in later video. Okay, but now I'm going to focus particularly on functions. I need to stay on track. Okay, so now I will show you how to call functions within a function. So now let's make another function here. This is where we will mention functions. Okay, now dev, we write another function which is let's say okay, so the name of the function is multiplier, and again it accepts some parameter which is number, and what we do with number is whatever we enter, whatever we pass as an argument, we just multiply, sorry, we just raise the number to the exponent of its own. What I mean is, I say number so the given number to the power of number. Okay, so this is the power. Now I just save it, and now I simply change, I just give a comma and say, and multiplier, right? That was the number, multiplier. Yeah. Now if I say multiplier, we give a number. So multiplier 1 to 1, and then what I do is palindrome multiplier. Then what I do is print, right? So this way we can use the return of another function into another function. Okay, so let's see the result, then I will explain. Save it, run it. This will take some time. Okay. Oops, what happened? Is that a syntactical mistake? What happened? Name error. Oops. Multiplier. Okay, done. Control B. Let's see what happens. See, as you can see, this big number, is not a palindrome number. So now, how is this thing coming? And the logic is, first you are passing 121 as the argument to multiplier function. The multiplier function returns number to the power of number. it returns it. It returns from where it has been called. So it has been called inside is palindrome. So it returns a big number inside is palindrome number. Now is palindrome number is palindrome checks if the output of or the return of this function is a palindrome number or not. What is the return of multiplier 1 to 1? This is the return. This long number is the return. Okay. So you pass 121 as an argument to multiplier function. Multiplier function gives you this long number and it automatically gets passed as an argument to is palindrome. So that means this number gets passed as the argument of is palindrome function. And finally the whole thing is get passed to print function and then it displays the output. So as you can see the power of functions. This is the power of function. You can also do like this. You can also do multiplier number. So there is a okay. So let's just remove this thing. Okay. Let's just remove this thing. Okay. Let's save it. Now let's run it. Oh, I'm sorry. Copy new and just change this. Okay. Now let's run it. Control B. Why so? Should not happen, right? Okay. New. Right. Now let's save it and run it. So as you can see, you get the same result without even importing this function. Okay, but I basically did the same thing. I did the same thing just by modifying this thing. But as you can see, earlier I used to call this way, and even now I am calling the function in the same way. I do not change this. This remains same. This remains same. I do not make any change, right? All I do is, okay, let's say I do the same thing 2 more times, right? Control C, Control V. Let's say let's do this 2 3 okay 2 3 5 4 and again do this 1 1 1. Okay, now let's run it. Let's see what happens. So as you can see, it works properly, right? It perfectly works. But here's the interesting thing. Did I change here? No. I'm calling the function just like I used to call this. Calling of this function has not changed. But the inner working of this function has changed. And that's the beauty of functions. I do not make changes to different places where I have called it. I just make change only in the definition of the function. And all the changes are automatically updated, right? And what's another thing? Did you notice I did not imported this function in the example2 file, right? I just imported this one, but Since both of these are in the same file, both of these are in the same file, what you can work with this function inside this function, right? So I am assigning, I am taking the number, I am using the I am using the multiplier function on the number, that is number to the power of number, so it gives me a huge number. I assign this to the new number, and then I copy the new number, and the other processes are the same. Just like the number, I just change it with new. I'm not working with the number. I'm working with the multiplier function's output. That is number to the power of number, and that's it. I do not make any necessary changes. Okay, I never made any changes in this file. All I did was change the definition of this file, and it worked. Now if I change the definition back to normal, see what happened. Just see what happens. Save it. Now I don't do anything. I don't even touch the code, and I again run this. See what happens. As you can see, 1 to 1 is a palindrome number, 111 is a palindrome number, 345 is not a palindrome number. So did I need to make any change? No, I don't. I don't. I never change a single line of code. I just change in the definition, and all this worked. That's it. So you don't need to know what's inside. All you need to know is how to call the function. And using functions, if you do not have used function, you would have write this thing 3 times in case of this, right? But since you have made a function, you can just write the single statement and the work is done. Now let's make a calculator, right? Again, this is where we write functions. We just remove all these things. Okay, def add, this is a function, and it accepts, okay, well, it accepts 2 parameters, right? Let's say num1 and num2. It can add numbers. Now if you say okay, so what it will do is return num1 plus num2. Okay, it's a simple calculator I'm making. Again, just change this to subtract num1 minus num2, right? That's it. Paste it again. This time I will just multiply. Multiply, and finally I'll just divide. Okay, save it. Okay, all the functions are done. Now I can simply say import example, because I will be needing all the functions. So that's why in a single statement import example. Now if I say print add 1, 2, let's run it. What? Oh, I'm sorry. Example dot add. Now it will work. Control S, 3. Okay. If I write add 1, add 1, 2, run. In example dot add. Save, run it. 4. Why 4? 1 plus 2, 3 plus 1. 4. Okay, let me simplify this a little bit. From example import star. So this star means from the file example.py import everything. Import everything. Okay. So now I can just write add 1, 2. Save it and run it. It will give me 3. But if I say add 1, add, I'm calling the same function. I'm calling the same function inside this function 1, 2. 4. Why 4? What are the arguments? The first argument is 1. What is the second argument for this add function? This whole thing is the second argument. So I am calling add function inside another add function. This is called recursion. Recursion is the process of calling the same function within itself. Okay, this is called recursion. And I will show you how to use recursion into various things. Recursion is much complex as compared to loops, but it works the same way. And you can use recursion to write only 2 or 3 lines of code to simplify things, whereas you have to write 4 or 5 lines of code in a loop. Recursions will do things in a much faster way, but it is very complex. So if I say add 1, 2, what this will do is say run 5. Why 5? You are calling add function inside another add function. So the first argument is 1, the second argument is another add function. In this add function, what is the first argument? 1. The second is 2. So it gives you 3 as a return. It gives you 3. So 3 plus 1 gives you 4. Plus 1 gives you 5. So that's how recursion works, right? I can also say print mul 5 10. Okay, 5, 10. Save it, and if I run it, let's run it. So the above one gives me 5, the latter one gives me 50. This is a simple function call. And what is recursion? Recursion is the process of calling the function from itself. So add is calling add, and then this add is calling another add inside it. So this is the classic example of recursion. Add calls add, then this add calls add. So this is a recursion. And recursion are complex topics, and you do not implement it in the IT world, okay, unless you are writing some operating system or some complex applications which requires you to be very fast.